There it is, folks. It's time for Believe It or Not. Heath Cummings tells you a statement, and it's up to you if you want to, of course, believe it or not. Chris Towers joins us here now on Fantasy Football Today. Thanks, Chris, for being with us. Let's get right to it. Here we go. First topic, believe it or not, Lamar Jackson is a sit in Week 14 against the Browns.
A lot of people seem to believe this. I can't get there. You look at what he's done so far this season. He's at 329 yards per game. That's 40 more yards than he had during his breakout campaign. The problem is he has a career-low passing touchdown rate, a career-low rushing touchdown rate. I can't guarantee that's going to change in the next 3 weeks, but I'm going to bet on Lamar Jackson, the player. I'm going to continue starting him. He's still quarterback 7 with those terrible touchdown rates, right between Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes on a per-game basis. You should keep starting him.
All right, Chris, so it's been an offensive line problem. He's had some receivers coming in and out due to injury. The run game has been suspect, we know, because of the injuries there all season. Lamar Jackson just threw his second career interception in the red zone. The first one happened to be earlier this year against the Miami Dolphins. Do we have a Lamar Jackson problem on our hands?
To a certain extent, I think we do. Yeah, he hasn't played all that well it hasn't just been bad luck. Since week 6, he has a 32.5% completion percentage on passes of at least 15 yards down the field. And he has the 4th lowest passer rating on such passes in that stretch. He has 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions on 40 attempts in that stretch. And so what you're seeing is that this is an offense that has always been predicated in the passing game on the ability to hit those big plays. Marquise Brown is an exceptional deep ball guy, and that's something that Rashad Bateman should be good at as well. Mark Andrews stretches the field down the middle as well. And so when they're not hitting those things, we saw this towards the middle of last season as well. When they're not hitting on those deeper balls, the offense can kind of stagnate, especially because the running game hasn't been quite as effective so far this season. But the bigger thing when you're talking about you're going to sit Lamar Jackson, well, for who? Okay, Tom Brady, sure. If you've got Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson, sit Lamar Jackson. If you've got Josh Allen, maybe Kyler Murray. After that, I don't feel that much better about Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert at this point in the season. So I think that the idea of sitting Lamar Jackson, in theory, maybe it makes sense because he's struggling, but I agree with what Heath said. He's going to be a lot better than he has been so far this season, and there aren't many quarterbacks I feel better about.
Let's hope he gets, look, he played the Browns. He said it was one of his worst games, felt like a rookie. He gets the Browns again this week. They're coming off a bye, so that could favor Cleveland. It could also favor Lamar, knowing what defense he's going to face. So, again, you're still starting him, and unless, of course, you're following Heath on Twitter, which you're sitting him this week. But, who are you sitting him for? You're sitting him for Taysom Hill? Come on. Lamar Jackson's better than Taysom Hill. You're not going to go that route. You're not going to go the streaming route yet to sit Lamar Jackson. If you go down with your best players, and Lamar Jackson's still probably one of the best players on your fantasy roster. Topic number 2, here we go. Believe it or not, Antonio Gibson is a top 12 running back rest of season. So, Heath, we saw another great performance from him, but this was without J.D. McKissic on the field, which we know has been a problem for him. But he's delivering at the right time. Since the bye, he's been fantastic. And you think it's going to continue?
Yeah, and I think maybe most importantly for Antonio Gibson is I just believe that the Washington football team defense has mostly figured things out, and they are the unit that we expected them to be. So even if they're playing Dallas this week and they do play from behind, I don't think they're going to fall way behind and give up a ton of points like they were earlier in the year. They gave up 29-plus points in 6 of their first 7 games. You look here recently, they haven't given up more than 21 since they played the Packers in October. So I do think that this defense will keep them in games enough. And Gibson now 27 touches, 19 PPR fantasy points per game over the last 4 weeks. I don't know if he'll be quite that good, but I do believe he'll be top 12.
The passing game work has been nice. It's almost like, hey, JD, take your time, get that concussion right, feel good. But we have a guy that can catch passes like we thought going into the season when they said the next Christian McCaffrey. He's not quite there, but he's looking a lot more like that. So, Chris, rest of season, Antonio Gibson, number 1 fantasy running back?
I look at him kind of the same way I look at David Montgomery, except I feel better about David Montgomery's role in the passing game. Antonio Gibson, what we saw in week 12 or week 13, 22 routes run on 33 pass plays, if that was what we were going to see from him moving forward, yeah, I would absolutely buy into him as a top 12 running back. I think he can be a top 12 running back, but I also think he's just an incredibly game script dependent guy as long as J.D. McKissic's active. It could be a situation like we've seen with Jonathan Taylor this season where he's just so effective that they change the way they use him and he starts getting that passing game role. The problem is he's averaging 3.8 yards per carry and 4.8 yards per target over this 4-game stretch. So it's not like he's been, absolutely smashing the ball. I think when J.D. McKissic's healthy, when they're trailing, I still think there's going to be some frustrating Antonio Gibson games. He might be a top 12 running back, but I don't think he's going to be an elite guy.
All right, so hopefully he continues to play well. This is a very good matchup for him against the Cowboys, but much better situation for him if J.D. McKissic is not there. Topic number 3, here we go. So the Twitter poll first. I'm sure everybody's going to agree with you, Heath. Yes, they do. There you go, 75%. He is a top 12 running back. He's top 5 for my rankings for Week 14 already. So let's go, Antonio. Next topic, here we go. Believe it or not, Jamaal Williams was a mirage. He's a flex at best if DeAndre Swift misses Week 14. And by the way, that's not my words. This is his words. I just read exactly what he said. Jamaal Williams is a mirage. He's at best a flex if DeAndre Swift misses Week 14 as the Lions take on the Broncos.
When you'll see the poll, you'll see you don't have to apologize for these words. But no, listen, there was some discouraging things that came out of this game. The fact that Godwin Igwebuike was their hurry up back and playing more on passing downs. He was in at the end of the second half, the end of the first half. That was bad. I expected Jamaal Williams to run more than 9 pass routes, but still, he had 18 touches and 80 total yards, and they're facing the Broncos this week. If DeAndre Swift is out, I'm still starting Jamaal Williams. I'm just not going to rank him as a borderline number 1 running back like I did last week. He'll be more of a low-end number 2 option, but still pretty close to a must-start for me.
All right, so Chris, usually the Lions are chasing points at a dramatic pace. This wasn't the case against Minnesota. They were ahead for a majority of the game. That's the game script we like for the Lions running back is, you're well behind. Jared Goff's dumping the ball off. That might be the case against the Broncos. It might not based on how Denver's offense has looked and certainly their team as a whole. So is Jamaal Williams going to play like the player that we were hoping to see against the Vikings, or is he going to play like the player we actually saw against the Vikings?
Yeah, the 9 pass routes on 45 pass plays, that's really alarming. I think Heath underplayed it a little bit because I did expect what we saw when Jamaal Williams was out was DeAndre Swift basically played 75 to 80% of the snaps. He was out there for most of the pass plays, handled a majority of the rushing work as well. Jamaal Williams handled most of the rushing work, and if he's going to get 15-plus carries, he's probably going to be in that top 24 running back range. But it's a guy, like if he's getting 15 carries and 1 or 2 targets, if he's running 20% of their pass routes, you're talking about a low value touch guy on a bad offense. I don't think that's someone that has much value. I think it's more in the Damian Harris range. And I think I might rather have Damian Harris even splitting work in a good offense, or a better offense at least, than Jamaal Williams based on what we saw on Sunday.
I guess the one thing would be if you're looking at Jamaal Williams, we could show the poll here to see if everybody agrees or disagrees with Heath here. But the thing that you look at when you're talking about the landscape of fantasy running backs, I'd rather have Jamaal Williams in Week 14 than Ezekiel Elliott. I'd rather have Jamaal Williams in Week 14 than Saquon Barkley. And that kind of shows you, I think, where everybody is with this. I don't know if everybody agrees with me, but that's kind of how I come out, is that I'll take my chances with what this situation will be compared to some of the situations that for guys who are struggling. So hopefully Jamaal Williams gets a better performance, but the big issue is DeAndre Swift. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? We'll find out heading into Week 14.